How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be talking about our second half character for version 1.1, which is going to be Jane Doe. Now, Jane Doe at the current moment has a lot of potential just from what we know so far about her role, her element, all that different type of stuff. It's a lot of stuff that we are going to be looking forward to when it comes to her as a character. And I think right now, when it comes to her versus Qingyi versus Seth, I do think Jane Doe has probably the more interesting kit, or what could be of her kit, than someone like Qingyi. But of course, we're going to talk about that in a quick second. So before we get into all that, make sure you leave a like, comment, sub, all the different type of stuff, and let me know which character you're more excited for when it comes to Qingyi, when it comes to Jane Doe, or maybe even Seth, because I've seen a lot of people be very excited for Seth and how he changes his weapon with some of his moves in his kit from what we saw in the stream. A lot of really cool stuff coming out of Zenless. I'm very happy to see that they're being very creative in what they're doing right now. But of course, going back to the main topic of this video, which is going to be Jane Doe. Jane Doe is going to be a physical anomaly character. And with that being said, goodbye Piper, we'll see you in another world. But seriously though, looking at what we have right now for the Anomaly class, right now we only have Piper, we have Grace, and we also are going to be getting Jane Doe. And as you see, Grace is uncontested right now, so she's pretty good right now. But for Piper, she's getting outright power crept out of her own spot by a 5-star coming in version 1.1, which sucks in all honesty, but she's still a very great unit, a really strong one at that. And I think she will have a resurgence once a new Sons of Kaladin faction member comes out, because with her being able to stack physical anomaly as quick as she does, and same way how she has a damage buff if you could fulfill her team passive, yeah, she's gonna be a really good character, and for a very long time for the most part. But in realistic aspects of how the physical anomaly characters are going to work, looking at Jane Doe, we're probably going to see her on a bunch of different teams, just because I do think there's a option, or there's a team variant that you can make that is going to make it so that anomaly characters can replace your stunner. And the reason I say this is that if you have a DPS, let's say someone like Zhu Yin, who's really good at anomaly buildup, if you have a character like her and then you put in someone like, let's say with Grace, and you put in someone like Jane Doe, and then you have someone like Nicole, then you're gonna have anomaly disorders happen non-stop. And I think what eventually they want to do is, instead of the traditional DPS factor that we have with DPS, support, and a stunner, I think that we're eventually going to see DPS, anomaly, and a support, or maybe even anomaly, support, anomaly. That way you're able to boost up the damage that you're doing with these disorders, boost up the damage you're doing with these reactions. And let's say you have someone like Jane Doe, and then you have someone like Grace on the team. If they both have anomaly buildup or anomaly mastery on them, they're able to bring up that buildup as fast as possible, making it so that they're non-stop chaining reactions on top of each other. And let's say you have someone like Nicole, let's say you have someone like Rena, where you're getting that penetration, when you're getting that defense down, which is going to actively boost up those disorder numbers. Yeah, we're gonna see some nasty stuff come out of this game, especially when we start taking disorders into account, because I've already been using characters like Piper, characters like Grace, and when you start getting disorders done, yeah, they hit pretty hard. They hit extremely hard, hitting around the 200k to 300k disorders with maybe 100k, 150k assaults. Yeah, physical is going to be nasty, especially with looking at Jane Doe. And now that we're already talking about Jane Doe specifically, I feel like her team passive might reflect the trend we've been seeing since Zhu Yin has come out, which is changing up the way these team passes are restricted, which we've seen with Ellen Zhou and a lot of the other characters that have come out since the beginning of the game. A lot of them are faction or element. Now, since Zhu Yin has come out, she has been support or faction. Qingyi's gonna come out, and we know so far that she is attack or faction, which is a broader aspect of how to build your teams, which is a really good thing for the game. I definitely think they should keep doing this, unless it's a giga crack character or a very niche character that they want to hold into certain teams only. But with Jane Doe coming, she's going to be anomaly, she's going to be physical, so we do know for the most part she should be pubsec faction, so she should work with Zhu Yin and Qingyi. But what will be her other core passive? What will be her team passive? Most likely, I have a feeling, since we already have attack, we already have a support, I feel like it's either going to be a stunner, which kind of wouldn't make sense in my honest opinion, because I think the anomaly characters don't want to be paired up with stunners as much, because for the fact that you're going to be popping disorders and you're going to be popping reactions over the fact that you are stunning them. So I don't think it's going to be stunner with anomaly. What I do think is going to happen, it's going to be anomaly with anomaly. I feel like that might be the case of what they're trying to do with Jane Doe, because that would make the team aspect or the team template that I was saying before, with it being Anomaly support Anomaly, make a lot more sense. Because if you are boosting up another Anomaly character, that means, guess what, Jane Doe is probably getting faster build up, Jane Doe is getting nastier disorders, nastier procs, while the other character is probably going to benefit in some way, shape, or form, with them being able to say, let's say Grace, if she's going to be using her buffs that she has with her Anomaly buildup, because she builds up electric really fast, having someone like Jane as well who's able to do it equally as fast. With having a support character, you're doing proc disorder, proc disorder, proc disorder, and that's gonna be a really fun thing. I do think overall these two characters coming in version 1.1 are going to be put in a lot more teams than the previous characters of 1.0. Ellen is going to be stuck with the ice team, of course, as always, with one of her best teams. And then we have also Julian, who also has one of her best teams right now, which are Ambi and Nicole. And she's about to get a step up of a premium team with having Julian, qingyi, and also Nicole. Now with Jane Doe is going to be put on a bunch of different teams. When it comes to, let's say, Nekomata, let's say Ambi or Nicole, and then you have someone like Jane Doe. If Jane Doe does follow the physical aspect or element aspect over the overall general role, like where it has the Anomaly slash faction and she instead has physical slash faction, then Jane possibly could do some nasty stuff with Nekomata. We're gonna have to see when she gets her team passive, what she gets from it, and how good she is without it as well. Because if it's something that doesn't pertain to a huge portion of her kit, then that means we can just slot her into a bunch of different teams, and that allows us to do a lot more damage, again, with being able to disorder, proc, instead of having to wait for stun, instead of having to wait for everything else. Looking at her gameplay from the stream alone, she has a lot of AoE, and she has similar qualities to Piper as well, which makes her seem like she's going to be a really, really nice Anomaly unit. And with the fact that she has that much AoE, yeah, that's going to be really good for clearing up a bunch of enemies, especially the smaller ones. Because the smaller ones take so much damage from the disorders and also from the assault procs. Yeah, they're going to get deleted. So the boss itself, being able to have that being done, being able to bring up that Anomaly build-up gauge, that's going to be a really good thing as well. I think once we get Jane Doe, a lot of people are going to start looking at Anomaly way more seriously, looking into the fact that I still want to make this video. I haven't done so yet for some reason, where I compare stunning to disorders. And I really want to see if we're going to be in a meta where we have a multiple Anomaly team, where we have a Anomaly setup or Anomaly core versus a stunner version. It's a lot of stuff that goes into the game that I'm very, very excited to see while we get these next few units, where the meta is going to shape up as time goes by. Because as each unit comes out, we're getting more teams, we're getting more variations of archetypes, we're getting to see what these enemies are able to do, what they're weak to, what is super strong against them, and just overall seeing that we're discovering a bunch of stuff. And it's overall cool seeing the different types of teams we can make with a bunch of different characters. And we've just had really good powerhouses so far. Ellen has been absolutely amazing, Julian has been absolutely amazing, Jane Doe seems like she's going to be absolutely crazy and a really interesting kit. And then we also have qingyi, who at this point seems like she's going to be a monster when it comes to stunning. She has by far have my jaw dropped to the ground with how good she is. She's able to do her job, and I hope they do the same thing with Jane. It seems like right now, since Julian has come out, including qingyi, these characters are really good at doing what they do because they don't have to stop their job to dodge. Julian's able to dodge mid attack string, qingyi's able to dodge mid stun string. So that's a really good thing for them. And I hope with future 5 stars, we can actually keep that aspect where they're able to do their job even if they're trying to dodge, because that allows you to actually play with them and not have to forcefully switch off, which sucks for the most part because you're playing that character for like 2 seconds and having to switch off because the enemy wants to attack for a fat ton of times, which you don't really want for the most part. You want to play as the character you're using, and for an Anomaly character, especially Piper, that is a big weakness that she has. I do want to see how they manage Jane Doe over Piper, because the main reason Grace has a 1-up on Piper is only because Grace can be ranged when she's doing her Anomaly buildup. She does her gun damage, which are her bullets, and then she gets to throw grenades out, which have a lot of AoE, which helps out with the buildup an insane amount. Piper, on the other hand, she only gets immunity over certain parts of her spin, but for the majority of the time, while you have a decreased amount of knockback, you have the full amount of damage coming at you, or at least a reduced amount coming at you, which still takes up quite a bit of your health. And without certain bang boosts, you're not getting that healed. So right now I do want to see how they're going to manage with Jane in terms of dodging, in terms of how invulnerable is she during her skills. Is she going to be like Nicole, where she has years worth of invulnerability, or is she going to be like Piper, where she has kind of none and she's taking a lot of damage in, and that's going to hurt her viability in a bunch of different teams and also in a bunch of different modes? Because later down the line, in the last few floors of Shiyu, yeah, they hurt a lot. They're basically one-shotting, two-shotting you, which is absolutely absurd. But of course, that's of course when we get our character's full max level. We'll see how that ends up being. I'm level 50. I am 10 levels away from max. I'm still getting one shot, two shot, which is absolutely insane that that's the case. But other than that, that's pretty much it going to be for this video when it comes to Jane Doe and what I am excited for with her coming out, and also what I'm excited for in terms of teams, her kit, all the different types of stuff. But we'll have to wait and see for when we showcase her, and also for when new aspects of her kit comes out. I'm very excited for her, very excited for Seth. We might talk about Seth in the next video. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.